which we ran earlier. So these were the values we were having. But of course, like there is no common element between these two. So when you do s2 dot difference update s1, so actually the new value should remain. Like it will keep the result as it will save the result as the values in s2. But that is not the that we didn't actually. I have executed this again, this command again, and then I have calculated I have just ran this command again then to show you the result. Uh, no, Sahil, two sets are not combined into one. Actually, it is giving the output of that particular operation. For you can say combining, we do have other methods. Now talking about the s1 dot intersection s2, so that is the next method we'll be talking about. So s1 dot and s1 and s2. So s1 dot intersection s2. So let me reinitiate the value of s1 and s2 then. So these are the value of s1 and s2 we'll use. So if I talk about s1 dot intersection s2, so actually it will print all the values which are common in both. So here I can see 2 is common and 5 is common for sure, which is here, and 6 is also common. So s1 dot intersection s2 will give you this as output. If I say s1, if I print the value again of s1, then it will 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, because I haven't saved the result in s1 till now. In order to save the result in s1, you need to use s1 dot intersection underscore update s2. So in this case, your values of S1 will be updated to the output which you got when you ran this operation. Okay, so this is the one. Now moving to the next method, if you want to check that whether two sets have a common element or not, so we'll use the method disjoint. So we have s1 dot is disjoint s2, and it gave me a false, reason being because it will give me a true when two set. So okay, s1 dot disjoint s2, it will give return true if if two sets are disjoint, that is no element is common. So in this we can see that there are multiple elements in common, like 2 5 6 are the elements which are common. That is why it gave us a false. It gave us a false, reason being because we have elements in common. If there is no elements in common, then it will give us a true. The next method is subset, so it will return true if s1 is a subset of s2. Subsets when all. So what do you mean by subset? So subset mean when all the value of s1 are in s2, then s1 is a subset of s2. So when I run this one, so it is true. The reason being the values of s1 are these, and the value of s2 are these. So these are the value of s2. So we can see that value 256 are also present in our s2. So indirectly, it is a subset of s1 only, s2 only. So s1 is a subset of s2. That is what we have. So it gave us a true value. And if I say s1 is a, so now do we have another method, that is a superset. Superset will return true if s1 is a superset of s2. That is s1 contain all the elements of s2. So when I will run this one, it will give me a false. Correct. Okay. Question for you all. If I do this a vice versa, if I say s2 is superset of s1, will it give me a true or a false? These are the values of s1 and s2. You can write your answer in the chat window. Okay, I will explain the subset method, Bhuvi. So S1 has value this. So what do you mean by subset? Subset is actually a sub part of it. Correct. For example, I can say uh, Delhi is a part of India altogether, so it is a subset of India. Correct. So I do have S1. S1 has 256. S2 has 256, 34, 64, 65, 89. So as all of my element of S1 are present in S2. Correct. As all of my element of S1 are present in S2, so S1 is a subset. That is subset by subset we mean it is a part of it. Is S1 a part of the S2? Mean the values. So I'm talking about in the terms of value. So it is a true, reason being your value 256 which are present in your S1, all of these values are present in your S2 also. Now if I talk about superset, S1 is superset of S2. So by superset V means that your S1 should have all the values. Okay. So your superset is actually opposite of your subset. So subset means that okay, the values in this set should be present in your master set. That is this one, because 256 are present in this one. If I talk about superset, in this case, S1 will be a superset if it contain all the values which are present in S2. If it contain all the values which are present in S2, but that is not the case. That is why we got S1 dot is superset S2. So it gave us a false. Reason being because in S1 we does not have the value 34, 64, 65 and 89. So my question to all of you were that is S2 a superset? Because is S2 a superset of S1? That was the question which was asked to you. Correct. For earlier I had a list of false, now a list of true. So let us see what the answer is. So the answer will be a true. Reason being because S2 contain all the elements which are present in S1 and it also contains some elements which are apart from it. So S2 contain all the elements which are present in S1 and other elements also. Correct. So that is main your S1 and S2. So S2 is a superset, whereas S1 is a subset. Now talking about S1 removing method. So if I say S1 dot pop, so it removes any random element that is removed from the set. So let me just print the value again of S1 S2, the latest value of S1 and S2. So the latest value are 256, 256, 34, 64 and this. So if I do S1 dot pop, so actually it has removed the element 2. And when I print the value of S1 and S2, so we can see now the values are 5 and 6 which are being remained. So do any one of you have any doubt till now on the subset and the superset part or any of the operation above? Is disjoint a intersection update? Or you can see the difference also.
Hi Gurdeep, can you hear me?
Yeah, Bhuvi, you're audible.
Awesome. I have a question. I'm a little confused actually. Subset में
Mm-hmm.
basically हम ये check कर रहे हैं कि 256 जो S2 में है S1 में है वो S2 में भी है like the way you said India Delhi is a part of India, so
Correct.
that is a subset. So अभी superset में are we checking that all the values of S1 is equal to all the values in S2?
Uh, S1 जैसे मैंने आपको सबसेट में बताया Delhi is a part of India, so Delhi is a subset. If
Right.
I say in like if you can say two entities, India is a bigger set, Delhi is a smaller set. So Delhi वाला set will be a subset of you can say India set. So in
Right.
that case India is a superset. उसके अंदर दिल्ली भी होगा. अगर मैं पूछता हूँ कि क्या दिल्ली सुपर सेट है, सॉरी क्या इंडिया सुपर सेट है दिल्ली का,
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा
करेक्ट.
अच्छा
तो
ओके
वो वाली
ओके
चीज है. So
Okay.
as we can
So
see, S2 is a master set altogether. It is having more values, and the values are present in S1 also.
okay, got
हाँ
it.
जी.
So basically हम 256 so S1 को सबसेट बुलाएंगे और S2 को सुपरसेट बुलाएंगे, right?
करेक्ट करेक्ट, उसको सबसेट इसलिए बुला रहे हैं बिकॉज जो उसमें वैल्यूज है वो वैल्यूज आपके S2 में भी है, एंड उसके
हम्म,
अलावा भी काफी अदर वैल्यूज है S2 में.
ओके ओके. और
करेक्ट.
ये मैटर करेगा क्या, एज इन डज द पैटर्न, एज इन if it was 562 instead of 256, would that matter?
No, the pattern does not matter at all. It is
Okay,
basically the values which matter.
okay, okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll move forward. We have done the pop operation. So now is the symmetric difference. So these are somewhat your, so that is, these are the mainly use cases of set that, okay, and these are quite faster. So the reason why we use them is, so when you will, so okay, when you will try performing all these operation using a list, it is first of all very time consuming, such as if you are calculating the intersection part, as it was a simple, like we perform this operation s1 dot intersection s2, so it is quite easy to do, like it will take few seconds to run, whereas if you do the same operation in a list, actually you need to do a for loop, and then you need to check up, you need to perform a check, okay, if this element is equal to this and all those stuff. So that is why we normally convert those lists into a set, considering that okay, the values will remain unique and there will be no duplication. But if you want to have a check that okay, which of the elements of two lists are common, correct, so we normally convert them into a set, and then we perform this operation in order to like to do the analysis part, because otherwise you need to go with various loops and all, if you want to do that operation over a list. Now moving forward, we do have the symmetric difference. So symmetric difference, what it does, so this is S1, this is S2, so it will contain all elements of S1 S2 except the which are common. Okay, so as you can see here, okay, so the reason being, okay, in this case it is quite opposite of the intersection part. Your intersection have the common elements, it will show you the non-common elements of S1 and S2. As you can see, 5 and 6 are present both in S1 and S2, so we didn't get them as a result. We have not got this as a result, reason being because your symmetric difference will give you output the uncommon elements, the elements which are not common, that is it actually it is a opposite of intersection. So when we discuss about the intersection part, so intersection will give you the common elements, the elements which are common between S1 and S2, whereas your symmetric difference is opposite to it, and it will give you the uncommon element, that is the elements which are not common in each other. And of course, like this will update the value in S1. So if I do S1 dot symmetric difference update, so it will, this was the output which you got, and now that is the value which is being stored in your S1 also. So S1, if I do S1 and S2, these are the output which we have now in our S1 and S2. So these were the uncommon element, that is the elements which were not common in S1 and S2. That is the difference between these. So that is what we got using the symmetric difference, and it is opposite of intersection. And like just repeating again, we perform symmetric difference on these two set, 5,6 and 2, 5,6. So like these are the elements of S2. So as we can see, 5 and 6 are common. So apart from 5 and 6, all the elements are provided: 2, 34, 64, 65, 89. That is a symmetric difference. And what we did now, S1 dot symmetric difference update S2. So now this output will be saved in S1, and that is what we are showing here and what you have seen here. Now moving to our next method of set, we have the union method, I think, which Sahil you were asking for. So actually union, what it will do, so S1 or S2, so it returns a set having all the elements of all the sets. So if I do S1 dot union S2, so actually it will give me all the elements, so like it will combine all the sets and give their unique value. For example, 34 was present in both, but 34 is coming only a single time here. So 2, 34, 64, 65, 89, and 2, 5, 6, 34, 64. So actually, if you see, uh, we do have the value 5 and 6 also coming up here. So it will actually combine all the sets, and like of course the values will be unique. That is what we have in this. Okay, so what I will do is I will just give you a question. Okay, I will just make a small set only for you. So this is a question for you. If I have the value of, you can say, S3 as 4, 5, 6, 7, and S4 as 6, 4, 10, 11, 13, and okay, up to 13. And here I do have the value 9. When I will do S3 dot union S4, what the output will be? Please respond in the chat window. Okay, just Sahil, I will just take your question. All of you, please answer to this question. What do you think? Okay, you're okay for all the people. What you need to do is you need to give me two result. One is the for the union part. Then we will perform the intersection on this also. So okay, just write. Okay, this is the union, and do provide me the intersection also. Correct. Good answer from all of you. Uh, can you let me know the intersection also, the result for intersection? I got it from Sakshi, correct, Sakshi? Yeah, yes, correct, Parul, Sarup. Yes, okay. I think the all of you are quite clear now. So let me just run this one. So when I do union of these, actually, what it will do, just let me put it in order so that it is not confusing. So what it will do, S3 dot union S4, it will give me output these. So actually you can say it will first of all give me all the values of S3. The first set all the values will come. That is 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Now it will come to S4. So what it will do, normally it will give all the values of S3 first. That is the upper set. And then it will come to S4. So for oh, I got all the values of S3 here. That is 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. And after that, it will go to S4. So it will check whether 4 has or is already like included in this. Yeah, it is included. So actually it will combine all the sets, and if I do the combination, so it will be something like this, Sahil. It will try to give me output like this: 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Again 4, 6, 10, 11, 13. So actually it will combine all the set, all the values. Like 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 from the set S3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from the set S3, 4, 6, 10, 11, 13, 4, 6, 10, 11, 13 from the set S4. And then it will like, that is basically a union. Union means combining all the set, all the values. And as you know, the property of set is, it will actually remove the duplicates. It will only keep the unique values. It will remove the duplicates. So you can see there are duplication of 4 and 6. So 4 is coming here, 4 is also coming here, 6 is also coming here, so 6 is also coming here. So it will make their occurrence only a single time, and all of these values will be the union part. If I talk about the intersection, so just give me a second. So when I talk about the intersection, like I will just cover the result in this case only. So this was the S3 union S4, and When I will do S3 dot intersection S4, I will get 4 and 6 as a result. So intersection actually gives you the common, that what is common between these two. So as I can see, your 4 and 6 are the common elements between S3 and S4. So that is what we are getting as output. Correct. So Sal, does it help you out, or is there still a confusion? Yes, Sal, your answer for the union was correct regarding. Okay, sure, thank you. So this was with your union intersection. Now we have another uh, method, that is update. So let me just print S1 and S2 before like performing this method so that you had know about the values. What values we have in S1 and S2. The values present in S1 and S2 are these. So 2, 34, 64, 65, 89 are in S1 and these are in S2. So what I will do, S1 dot update S2. So what it will do, it will add elements of S2 to S1, works with list, tuple and all. So as you can see, actually it is similar to your union operation. Um, how it is similar to your union operation? It is actually, so it is equivalent to your extend method of list, if you remember. So it is combining two set. Again, it is combining two set. So like two, we had two earlier. Now 30. So in set S1 we had 2, 34, 64, 65, 89. It will add in the method 5 and 6. So it will add these values also. 2, 5, 6. Now these will be of course present in your. This is the output for the same. And these basically your update. You don't have to like you have seen here intersection underscore update and all. You don't have to use the update here. It will simply update the values. It will add these values of the set in S1. Correct. uh, Showing you the values of S1 S2 again. So these are the values of S1 and S2. So there is a huge they are actually the same, because your S1 is basically a master set, or you can say is a superset uh, which it have become. So let me just delete this one. So if we have S1 dot update 100, so basically what it will do, it will add in 100 here also. So your update method actually add in a, so if we have a add method also, if you see in the starting which we have covered, your add actually adds a single value at a time in a set, whereas your update method is used to add in, or is used to combine two different sets. The similar to your you can say append methods only append a single element the add of the list, whereas your extend method combine two lists. So your update is that method altogether. So if I print you the value of S1 and S2 here, so these are 100. So I think like it will be quite. Let me just move this cell down. So you can see these are the value of S1 and S2. Now telling about the conversion of a list to S, or converting a list into a set. This is how we convert. So we do have the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, 8, 1, and this is the set for the same. So what we will do is we have the list in the variable L. We will simply write set and bracket the L, and we are saving it into P. So when I will run this one, this is the output I'm getting. That is P, and I can also write the type of P. What is the type of P? So it is a set now. And as you can see, the 6 were coming multiple time in this list, but when I convert it into a set, it is only occurring a single time. And same is the case with the 1. 1 was coming here in the starting and in the end too. Yes, actually we can update actually multiple values. So we can add multiple values using update. So for example, I did 100, I can just do 50, 60, 80. These are the values which I want to add in. So as I will do s1 dot update, and so if you see, these values are also being added 88900, and if I run this one, these are the latest values of your set s1. Okay, this is a question to you all. Is my s1 okay among s1 and s2? Which is the superset among s1 and s2? Which is the superset? Correct. In this case, your S1 is a superset because all the values of S2 are present in S1, and S1 also have other values apart from the S2 values. So S1 is a superset of uh, S2, I can say, or S1 is a superset in these two sets. So correct. So S1 is a superset. We discussed about the various methods such as remove, discard, pop, add, update, difference, update, intersection, update, union, is disjoint, subset, superset, symmetric difference, and symmetric difference update. So we have covered these method of set. Correct. Any doubt in this you have? Okay. So what we will do now is we move to some of the another methods. That is, these are the by default methods present in your uh, Python, and I will let you know how basically it will help you out. So slicing we have done, and I think we talked about the zip method too. But there is one more important method which I want to cover, that will be enumerate, and then I will give you a question which you need to solve. Okay. So basically range method we have covered. So range is used in your for loop or where you want to iterate. So it do have a start value, it do have a stop value, it do have a step value which is optional. Correct. The default value of step is 1. So if I say okay, just printing the range stance, so it will say it is basically a iterator. I can convert this into a list. When I convert this into a list, all the values will be converted into a list. Okay, so this is the output for the same, which I got for list, range, and 10. If I do range 11 to 20 and bracket 3. So as you can see, when actually this is more of an iterator, your range functionality, when you perform some operation on it, you will get this is output. Okay, this question goes to you all. What will be the starting 4 elements of this? When I will print this one, what will be the starting 4 elements? Okay, Bhuvi, the difference between add and update is add only adds a single value at a time, whereas by update you can add multiple values. What will be the first 4 elements of this? Everyone, please. Okay, I have 2 to 3 answers till now. Swati, Bhuvi, I want the answers from you all to correct set. Okay, पांडे जी तुम ज्यादा मचा रहे हो. It should start with a 10. That is the first thing. Start element से start होगा. So it will not start with 12 first. That is one. But yeah, thank you for the responses. This is the main aim to keep the session interactive. Okay, so I got multiple answers from multiple people. Thank you for the answers. And now, actually, I will just show you the answer for the same. So it is 10, 12, 14, and 16. It will start with a 10 because the starting element is 10. it will go till 39 because it will not cover 40, and it will just jump. So when you have a step of 2, it means that there will be a skip of 1. So always, so I think like this was confusing the people. When you have a step of 2, people were thinking it will go directly to 13. No. Uh, like always remember, it is something step minus 1, that will be the gap. So it will be 10, 11 will be skipped, then we have the 12, then we have 14, then we have 16. Okay, now do one thing. I am doing the step to 4. What will be the output for this now? So as I made you clear what the concept of step is. So if I do it a 4 with 2, this was the result, 10, 12, 14, 16. With 4, what will be the result? Okay. So in this case, the result will be 10, 14, 18. Correct, because we have a step of 4, and it will indirectly you can say it will skip 3. So 11, 12, 13 is skipped, and it will jump on directly to the 14th element. So 10, 14, 18, 22, 26. Correct. So I think it is quite clear to most of the people. So yeah, this is the one. Now we will cover the by default methods of Python which we have. Correct, Swati and Surya. The results are correct. So moving forward, we do have so let me just print the value of li for you first. I need to define it. So I'm just taking this as the list. So this is the li, and when I do max of li, that is list. So this is the my list, and if I do max of li, so it will give me the output 38. Basically, it provides the by default the max element. Max method will provide you the maximum maximum what do we say, the value which is the maximum in that particular data structure. That is 38. If I do it here, it will provide me 89 as the result. Now if I talk about a minimum of li, so minimum will provide me the minimum value, and in this it will be again your 2. Correct. So these are much of a simpler methods which we have covered now. Now talking about the absolute, so it will actually, what it will do, it will convert a negative value to a positive value. It is very simple one. So it is quite simple to use. So it absolute will convert a negative to a value. So it is similar to your mode method, which we have in mathematics, that is converting a negative to a positive. Yeah, this is known as absolute value. Now we do have a round method. So actually, if you have a float value, correct, if you have a float value that is 1.543, and if you want to just round it off, so this is what we have done. So what it has done, so it has basically rounded off to the upper value, but you can like specify. So in this case, there is a next parameter, that is up to how many digits you want to round it off. If I just show you the uppercase, in this case the value was 0, that is why we got the answer 2. But if we have the value 1, it will give me the output as 1.5. And if it is something like 7 here, then it will give me the value 1.6. So is it clear? um I have shared, okay, so there is a question coming. So I have shared the file up to dictionary. Regarding the set and all, I haven't shared these method. I will share these updated file from set and all after the end of this class. So the file which I have shared contains your that contains in your dictionary and all the previous methods. Yeah, I will share the full file at the end of the class. So this is the round method. Now we have the sorted one. So this is your sorted. So it actually returns a list of iterable. So this is my T, that is a tuple. This is my list. So if I do, so this I have loaded. If I do sorted L, actually it will sort the values, that is 3, 8, 8.5, and 9. If I do sorted on T, so it actually gave me this as output, that is, and this all the values are string. So if you see, all the values are string, that is 2, caps lock A, small a. So so you can say numbers are somewhat given a preference, then comes your uppercase values, then comes your lowercase values. Correct. That is what we are getting here. And this is more of a string, so your sorted works on a string too. So if I talk about strings, so your strings are in a quotation code format, and these are the specific values 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4, and these are its values, that is so commas are actually included in your string. So your string starts from here and it ends till here. There is no separation as in list we have using commas. So we do have the comma values. So this is how the things are sorted. First the punctuation marks come in, and then comes your numbers which are in a string format, and then your alphabet. So that is how it works. Now moving to the next method. So we have covered max and min. So if you have any doubt, you can let me know. So we have covered the range method. I think you are quite familiar earlier also with the range. Max and mean I've covered, that is max will give you the maximum value of the data structure, mean will give you the minimum value of the data structure. We do have the absolute value, that is actually absolute will convert the negative value to a positive one. And we do have the round value. Round will actually round it off uh, to, you can say, the nearby value. Uh, and we can also provide a parameter, that is one if one is correct. That is 1.573 will be rounded out to 1.6. We do have a sorted method, that is sorted will sort the things up. Now we are talking about the all. If I talk about all, so it returns true if all the elements in an object are iterable, that is are true values. Correct. So if all the elements will return false if any of the values is a false value. Okay, so if I run this one actually, and if I do all L, it will give me a false. Reason being because there is a, so okay, all the values should be, let me just show you again another use case, and let me show when it will be true. Okay, so main thing is your all will check whether all the values in the iterator. Iterator can be a list or a tuple or a set. If all the values are true values. So if you remember, I told you while during the while loop, so or and during the if condition also, that when you have the condition, that condition is being converted to, you can say, a true and a false is converted to a numeric 1 and 0. Correct. So if I convert the boolean value of 1 2 3 4, they will be true. If I check these values, they will be false. So all the values should be true, that is if the iterator do have a zero value, a false value, a none, or an empty string, then it will return a false, else it will return a true. These are basically some of the checks which we normally do sometimes. So these are not used every time, but like if you these are used normally in specific cases, but I thought of covering them up so that you're aware of this. And this normally is used when so actually this can be used in your conditioning part too. Correct. So like one greater than two, it will tell that okay, it can be used as a combined check of all the conditions. Whereas any will return true if any of the elements in the iterator is true. So it is similar to your AND operation. So all is similar to your AND operation, which you covered, that all the values should be true. Correct. So you can understand in that way, that is similar to your AND operation, that all the values should be true, whereas AND is equivalent to your OR method. that if any of the value is true, it will give you as a true. Okay, so any L, and in this you can say the value of L was this. Let me just copy this value of L there. So these are equivalent to your and or method. Correct. So it will also give me a true because there is a false, but there are multiple or true methods too. Correct. So your all and any are equivalent to your and or method. That is all is equivalent to your and method. That is if uh, that is all is equivalent to your and method. That is all of the values should be true. Correct. Whereas any is equivalent to your or method. That if any of the value is true, then it will give you a true. Any doubt anyone of you have in this? If it is a little confusing to you, then please you can write in the chat window or you can unmute your mic.
What is meant by iterable?
Yeah, Armit.
What is meant by iterable? Iterable.
Iterable, basically a data structure is known as an iterable. So iterable means you.
Okay.
So if I talk in a simple layman language, a thing on which you can iterate upon, similar to a for loop. So a for loop you can iterate over a list using a for loop. Correct. So that is no. So those values known as iterable. That is, these are normally the data structures which contains huge number of values. It normally represent a data structure itself.
Similar.
Iterable, I can say. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a data structure I can say, which can be a key, which can be a dictionary, a list, a tuple, a set. Those all are the
Yes.
iterables. Okay. So now, okay, thank you. So now return a list value. Okay. If I just show you this, so as you know, so like these are rarely used these methods, but like this is the directory method. As you can see, list here it is a list 1 2 3. So actually, when you do dirl, it will actually let you know all the methods of a list. Correct. That is append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove. So your directory method or dir method will let you know all the methods of this data structure. So as you can see, L, the data structure is a list, and your dir method will let you know all of its. So the dir function will let you know all of the method of this particular data structure, that is for the list in this use case. Okay, so this is the one uh, dir. Now I will just talk about the help. So it will actually display all the information about list. So help, and you in bracket you write list, and it will provide you the information, that is what remove do, what pop do. So it basically remove and return item at an index with the index which you provide, the reverse, the sort, the extend list by appending elements from an iterable. So you can use the keyword help, and in bracket you can write basically for what you want to help, you want the help for. So if I say dict here, that is dictionary, it will provide me the help for dictionary, that is clear, copy, items, keys, pop. So this is how, so help, and in bracket the data structure for which you want to get the help for. Now we have the div mode, uh, division, that is basically your division and modulus. Just give me a second. So if I talk about div mode, so actually it will provide me the quotient and remainder. Correct. So it says that when we divide 9 by 2, it will give me 4 as a quotient and the remainder will be 1. The 4 will be the quotient and the remainder will be 1. So it is more of an upper version of the modulus method which we have, which we normally perform 9 modulus 2. That is this one for the remainder part. So then we has output as 1, so we can use the div mode method directly. Now talking about the enumerate, this is highly useful. Correct. So normally, where it is used, and I will give you a question now. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, I need to solve it. So actually, your enumerate. So for example, when you have a data structure, which we have here, for example, a list, correct? And let me just convert it to list first. So when you have a data structure such as this, that is HGLKA, and when I do enumerate G and I use a list here, so what it will do, it will actually let me know their index number. So it will convert the list into a list of tuples. It will convert the list into a list of tuples having the value first, that is H, G, L, K, A, and their index number in the initials. That is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the functioning of enumerate. So by default, it starts from a 0. But what I can do is, you can start it from any number. Like in comma, if you like if you provide a comma and a 10, it will start with a 10. So these are actually highly useful. Like these are not directly used, but these do give you a reference number of the index. Correct. So it do have a start parameter, which is this one. Now this these I have converted to a list. If I use a dictionary here, that is DICT. Okay, let me just show you. If I use only directly the enumerate, it will show me actually a memory location, that the enumerate is stored at this memory location. So it is similar to your zip functionality. So if you remember, it is similar to your zip functionality. So here I need to convert this into a data structure. So if I write DICT for dictionary, this is the output which I got. So your zero where, so like see, this is the difference. So I converted the enumerate into a list data structure first, where it became a list of tuples, whereas the index number became the first value, and this became the value which was present in the list became the second value in the tuple itself. Now when I do it a dictionary, so your zero becomes your key. So this is your key, and this is the value for the same. This is your key, and this is the value for the same. Okay. So this is how your enumerate works. Okay, tell me one thing. If I want to print the value k in this list, what the uh, what the syntax or what the method I have to use? What the basically addressing for the same will be? You can write in the chat window. So the list name is G, and I want to print the value k. What will be the syntax for the same? So the list is G, and I want to print the value k. Okay, I got answers from some other people here. I am saying I want to specifically print this k, only k. Okay, Sakshi. Okay, Bhuvi. Correct. Bhuvi, your answer is correct. So if I want to print some value, so if I will only do, okay, let me just load it again and save it in G. I can save it. Just let me copy and save it in G again. I just normally use a value other than G, that is H, and if I paste it here, this is a list. If I say H and a bracket 3, that is answer which I get from most of the people, which I got from most of the people. So this is basically the answer. This is basically the value which I'm getting. So first of all, we need to go with the indexing. So it starts with the indexing 0, then it is 1. So it is 1 for this entire one. Then we have 2, and then we have 3. So it is H3, we got this one. Now we need to go within this. So it will be 1 here and not 2. So then that is when we get K. So it will not be 3 2, it will be 3 1. Is it clear? Any doubt anyone of you have in this? So just do revise all the methods with time. So this will be the output for the same. That is the value of k.
Hey Gurudev, Pooja here. Can you please explain that step again?
Okay. Uh, so actually, this is Pooja. This is basically your multi-dimension index in a list. Your list always start with the index 0. That is, this is the index 0. This is the index 1. This is the index 2, and this is the index 3. Correct. When I only simply write h3, it will give me this as a output. Correct. So it will give me this as output. If I want to get this as output, I will write simply h0 here, where h is a list. So I get this as output. Now the output which is being provided to me is a tuple. So when I will write type of h0, it will give me as a tuple because I have entered into this value. I have entered into this value. Correct. And when now if I want to, in this tuple, if I want to get this, I want to like go to h, then what I need to do is, again in tuple, the indexing will start from 0 and 1. That is 0 1, and I go here h0 and 1. I get this as output. Similar is the case if I want to get k as output or a as output. A as output, I can say, okay, I will go with k. If I want to get k as output, I need to see, okay, which particular tuple it is in. So it is 0 is this one. So this index 0, this index 1, this index 2, this index 3. So it will be similarly h3. And if I start with this, it is 0 and 1. So I write 1 here and I get k as output. Okay, so I modify the question for you all. I want 4 as output. Can you now please answer the same? If you have any doubt, then please let me know. You can write the answer in chat window. What I want to print is I want to print 4. What the indexing will be. Correct. So it will be h, it will be 4. It is index 0 is this one. This is index 1. This is index 2. This is index 3. And this is index 4. And in this 4, when I will go to index 4, h4, I get this as output. Now this is again a tuple, or you can say again iterator. So its indexing will start from 0 and 1. I want a 4, so here it will become a 0. So I got 4 as output. Do anyone of you have any doubt? Pooja, is it clear? Or you still have the doubt? Then I can like.
Yeah, it's clear,
explain
Gurudev. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. So this was with the enumerate functionality. Now we have another method. These are the okay. I will just cover this and then I will give you a question. So this is with the dictionary, correct? Now moving to the sum method. Actually, what sum does is it will take. So this is a list which we have. It start with a simple bracket, as you all know, and it will just simply sum it up. Okay, and the sum actually have. So when you use the sum method, you need to provide a iterable, that is a data structure, and it will just sum it up. The other method it also have is that, okay, it will start by default, it starts with a 0, that it is similar to L comma 0. You will get the same output. Okay, so if you don't write it up, so this is a by default function. The value is 0 for that particular parameter. Now I do L comma 150. So if you understood what the output will be in this case, so it will be your 168, that it will start with 150 and then it will add the value of 18 and you will get 168. We do have another method known as reversed. So what reverse to? So it actually reverse the complete sequence. So we have the value of list ls 9 5 3 55 64 1 3, And when I do reversed L, I need to actually, this is more of an iterator, I need to save it into a list. So you will do 3 164. Actually the list sequence is reversed. So that is another method by which we can reverse the values of an, you can say, an iterator or a data structure. The power is another method. Yeah, function. The power is another function which we have. Actually, to your method. So start we have your, it will give you cube. So it is similar to 1 and then a jump of 3, that is 1 2 3 jumped, then you get a 5, then 3 values will be jumped, you will get a 9. Correct. So it is similar to your slicing method. Zip actually we have covered. So your list one is this one, AG 1.5, 5 and 9.8, and your list two is this. When I will perform the zip method over it, actually what zip will do, it will combine the values of consecutive index number. It is A9, G and 8, Z and 8, 1, J, you can say 5 with 7, 9.8 with 9. Now we can actually, there is a one and actually we can convert it into dictionary too. So in when you do a zip, so zip as a, like, it is similar to enumerate, or you can say the other methods, reverse. So actually it's create a memory location, you need to convert into a data structure. When I do a dictionary in, write a dict in front of it, your this A will become a key and your 9 will become a value, your G will become a key, your 8 will become a value. Okay, so this is how it function. And now I have two lists, list one, list two. This can be another method, another like question altogether, that if one of the list is bigger and another list is small, that is the values are, you can say, the length are not same, then what you will get as an output. So it will give you an output till the values where the length is same. So as you can say, there is a pair of A with 9 and G with J. You will get that as an output only, and rest of the values will be ignored. So this is what the output we have got. Now what I will do is, actually I will just give you a question which you need to give me the answer for. And actually it will just consume all of your you can say the things which we have covered till now. So it will be a combination. Do any one of you have any doubt till now? First of all, you can let me know. Correct, Swati. It will ignore extra values over the other list. So it will only give you the output where it is able to make a pair. Like for example, it was able to make a pair of A and 9. It gave you as output G and J. It gave you an output. Rest of the values are ignored. What if one variable? Okay, I think Sahil, your question is answered. What value has more value than? Okay, Bhuvi, your answer is also, like, question is also answered. So do any one of you have any other question regarding zip or any of the methods which we discussed above? Okay, so
Hi, Gurdeep. Pooja here. I have a question on slice only.
okay,
Actually, I didn't attend the last class, so I'm not quite bit clear on the slice. Can you just quickly explain that?
okay, sure. Actually, I think like this is what we covered in the list method altogether. But I would say, okay, instead of so I think like this might confuse you up the slice method. I'll just explain you with a simple list method on this. Okay, I do have it up here. Yeah. So these are basically the slicing method which we have. Okay. So what normally slicing does is, if this is your list, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if so you actually need to provide you need to provide index numbers. That is a start index number, the end index number, and a step value we have in range. So if I, for example, if I want to say with 0, that is I want to start with 0 in this list. I want to start with 0 and I want to go till 3, index number 3. So it is 0, 1, 2, 3. So but 3 will not be included, so it will give me as an output as 0, 1, 2. So it says I will start with 0, that is index 0, and I need to go till 3, but does not and don't have to include 3. So I will go till 3 and 3 will not be included. The value at index 3 will not be included. So this is the output we will get, that is 0, 1, 2. Now the second method out of it is as I can also do it like this. So if it is list and -1, when I will do list -1, it will give me the last element. That is like 10. And similarly, you can start from like within also. Like if you want to start with the index 2. So I will say 2. I will say 2, and I want to go till index number. You can say 6. So what it will give me an output is, so it will start from here. That is 0. It is index 2, 3, 4, 5. So it will give this as output 2, 3, 4, 5, and it will go till here. So actually it will go till here, but will not give this as output. So you can see I got 2, 3, 4, 5 as output because it started from here and went till index number 6, which was here, which is this one, but does not include that value. And there is one more functionality in this then. When we start with a 0, that is we are starting with index 0, and we are going -1 means the last element. As I've shown you, -1 will give you this, that is 10. And here you need to give a step size also. So if I give a simple step of 1, so it actually sorry, it is not a list, correct, they will be colon separated. So as you can see here, uh, it is simply printing the values from 0 to -1. These all values are printed, that is from 0 to 9. If I do a 2 here, then actually it will put a skip of 1. So you can see start from 0. It says start from 0, go till the last. So -1 is basically the last, and at a step of 2. Step of 2 means skip one element while execution. So it will say 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. Correct. And of course this element will be skipped. So this is an overview, Pooja.
Okay, Gurdeep. Thanks a
But
lot. Just one more.
I have shared a file with you. I think did you get the mail for that? So for the
Yeah,
people
yeah,
who
I got the
didn't,
mail.
okay, so like if there is any people who didn't get the mails for the files, then please you can write your email ID in the chat window, and I can just copy that one, and I will like going forward share those mails also in the upcoming mails too with you also. So in that these are like each and every step is covered there with like multiple examples. I think like it will help you out. If you still face a issue, then you can like ask me.
Sure, Gurdeep. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Uh, So, okay, Ashutosh, let me just add in your email ID there. Okay, so I will just share the question with you now to all of you. You will have only 5 to 10 minutes to solve this one. So, okay, I'm just putting the question here. So, this is, I have made it a marked also. So this is the question which you need to perform, which you need to give me output for. You need to share the code with me. You need to make a Python program to print the second highest number in the following list and also print the index number. So what I want output from this code is the output should be, so the second highest number is 7, correct? And what are their index numbers? So in the chat window, what are the index number of 7? Just write in the chat window what will be the index number for 7. So both of these values. Correct. So what I should get as an output is 7, 7, 8. This is the output which I should get. That is, this is the second highest number, and these are their index numbers. And you need to make the program dynamic. You don't have to fix the value. You don't have to use some by default index numbers such as -2 and -3 or 7 and all. You don't have to do. It should be a dynamic program. That is, if I enter another list in this, you should be able to provide me the result for the same. Bowie, it will be 7 and 8. If you run in Python, if you say li.index of 7, it will give, of course, a 7 value, but the index will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is 7 and 8. Sakshi, it will not be 2, 3. Okay, so this is your question. Just try it out, do it in Python, and think of the solution. What do you like, how it will be solved, and just try the coding part. So this is the list. You need to, in a list, you need to provide me the second highest number, and you need to provide me their index numbers. That would be their index number. Actually, you can use you need to use a combination of everything, such as for loop. You need to use. You can use zip. You can use enumerate. You can use slicing. Whatever you want, you can use those. So it will be working in combination. So just start with the coding part, and try this question in the 5 to 10 minutes, and then share it in the chat window, the result with me. How many of you are able to solve this question? Please let me know. So your approx 10 minutes are going to be over. So, and what thinking process? So if you have some incomplete code also, you can just share that one in the private chat with me, and I can just let you know if you're going in the right direction or not, like your thinking process. All of you, like Rishabh, okay, correct, Bhuvi. Okay, yeah, that is one what you can do. So much of the thinking process is correct, Bhuvi, which you are trying. But in that case, you need to like have the original values also intact. Just do keep that in mind. Otherwise, like with the data manipulation, your indexing will change and all. So you should have the original value also intact. Rishabh, Raghuram, so and Raghuvendra, how much you have done? Please share your code. Sahil, Sakshi, Surya, Swati, Yash, Harmeet. Please share your updated code. Like the code you have until now. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. See, if I tell you in this case, for example, like if the screen is visible to you, in your any of the use case, it might be like, for example, we are having 7 7. It might be that you get the 8 3 times. So in that case, your indexing of such as -2 will not work. Correct. So try thinking of a process that you come out of this indexing, like manual indexing values. But yeah, I appreciate all the people thinking process. You are going in the right direction. Yeah, but just think of a thing that you don't have to manually provide an index number. Think of all the complications, because when you will put a code to production, there can be multiple scenarios which you need to tackle. That is, you need to make the code dynamic. You need to make the class, you need to make the code dynamic. That is, whether it is coming, like whether it is coming 1,000 times, or whether only there are two values, that is 7 comma 8 8 8 8 8 8, it should give 7 as the output. Think of that process. Rishabh, so rest of the people, please share your inputs also, like how much you have done. Please let me know your progress. Harmeet, am I audible to you?
Gurdeep, this is Rishabh.
Yes. Hi,
I
Rishabh.
didn't write a code, but I have a logic. I share with you.
Uh, okay, you can actually just write the logic because I want that every logic should be unique. I don't want that people should take reference from your logic and work on that only. So you
No,
can.
separately. I will share it separately.
Mhm. Sure, sure.
Actually,
Uh, okay, so what we will do now is, so I think like, so in this case, I have made the question quite clear to you. I think you all have also like tried your thinking process on the same, and I would request. So okay, I will just give you a hint. In this, you need to use the for loop. you need to use some set functionality. So I'm giving you the hint what it will be used. For loop will be used, set functionality will be used, enumerate will be used. So it will be a combination of all these three. Now you need to provide me the answer. So I've told you all the components which will be used. So you need to use a set, and you need to use enumerate, and of course your like list will be there. So you need to use enumerate, and you need to use a for loop. I can say for can be one of the loop. You can use a while or whichever you want. So set, enumerate, for loop, these are the things which will be used. Now think on this process line how you're going to combine these things. So till that time what we'll do is we'll just move to the next topics then. This will be more of an homework for you all. Just try doing it and just share the answer in, you can say what you can do is you can share the final code with me over the mail, or what you can do is just complete it, and in the next class when we'll get back, if your code is complete, you can specially share it with me over the chat window so that I can have a look on it. But these are the three things which will be used: set, enumerate, and for loop. There are other methods also. For example, we have seen of doing a particular solving a problem, we have like thousands of methods by which we can solve the problem, so you are free to explore those also. So we will move to other methods now, that is string slicing, which we'll be discussing and covering now. So string is also more of a data structure. Okay, so we covered up to zip. Do anyone of you have any doubt in this till now? And did you get the logic, like how you will be doing this, combining set, enumerate, and for loop? Any doubt? Like, I'm not going to tell you the logic, complete logic, but I would request you to please explore the same during the weekdays, or you can, like, we do have a class tomorrow. I hope like most of you will be able to solve it by tomorrow. Like, we'll be able to present in tomorrow class. That would be great. So, do anyone of you have any question till now on the set dictionary and all? Okay, so we will move forward now. So we'll move with the string method. So a string actually is a combination of character. So you can say this is a string in Python. So string method, we mostly have two methods in the initial, that is upper and lower. So let me just run this one for you. So this is S, and if I write the type of S, you can see it is a string, that is str. When I do s dot upper, everything of the string will be converted to the uppercase. When I do s dot lower, everything will be converted to a lowercase. So that is how it works. Now there are multiple method, that is dot split. Actually, you can also split a string basis some separator. Correct. So for example, this is my text. That is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and these are like written as A, comma, B. So this is a complete string altogether, and I'm just loading it up. So when I do text dot split, so what split will do? Actually, it will split these characters on the basis of comma and convert them into a list. So as you can see here, it was a comma coming up here. So A is a different entity now. B is a different entity. It is a list. So it has converted the string to a list. So B is a different entity. C is a different one. D is a different one. And E is a, and if you see F underscore R is coming as a combined entity because there was no comma here. So that is how your comma split works. Now this question goes to you. If I do text dot split at underscore, what the output will be? What will be the output? Please reply in the chat window. For your convenience, I'm just